Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining the LinkedIn Sales Solutions team for our Leveraging Relationship Intelligence for Deeper Selling webinar. So who are you actually going to be hearing from today? My name's Erin, and I'm on our product marketing team. I make sure that the voice of the customer is infused into every angle of the products that we build. And then once we have those products, I make sure that all of our potential customers and customers know about them and know how to use them and find value. I'm going to be joined by my partner in crime, Guillaume, who's one of our product managers here. And he's really in charge of figuring out what we build in Sales Navigator. To bring us home, Ivan and Andrew will have a fireside chat. And Ivan's responsible for making sure that our customers are successful once they purchase our Sales Solutions products. So he leads that customer success team that makes sure that those customers are successful. Andrew is our head of account partners in APAC, and he's really focused on helping grow those relationships with existing customers. So we've got a packed agenda for you today. We're going to start off with a couple housekeeping items, and then we'll dive into the shift that we're seeing in the sales landscape that I'm sure many of you are seeing and feeling as well. We're also going to teach you a little bit more about what relationship intelligence actually is. Guillaume will walk you through a Relationship Explorer demo. And then, as I mentioned just a moment ago, Ivan and Andrew will be having a fireside chat where they'll share some best practices. All right, so the housekeeping items. First one is around questions. So we're going to hold our live Q&A until the end of this session, but please feel free to drop questions in the chat box throughout the session as we go. We'll have folks in the chat helping to answer some of those questions throughout the presentation. And then the second housekeeping item is around some extra resources. So we've linked to some extra materials at the bottom of your screen that you can feel free to download and browse through once our session is done here today. So there's been a shift in the buyer-seller relationship that's pushing organizations to evolve how they approach selling. Teams relying primarily on cold outbound selling aren't seeing the results that they might once have, and it's really a dying approach. These teams have relied so heavily on cold outreach, largely because they're leveraging shallow sales intelligence tools that are limited in the insights they can provide. They're stuck in contact level data that doesn't make it clear how to actually get their foot in the door at an account. And not to mention that these tools are often chock full of stale data, everything from incorrect contact information to the wrong person in the wrong role, especially with what we've seen in recent economic times and the Great Reshuffle. With reliance on these tools that are chock full of stale data, sellers end up spamming all their potential prospects with a mass cold outreach strategy, which leads them to a really frosty 1% response rate, as these buyers are inundated with outreach and have become less responsive. During the pandemic, we saw a 59% increase in sales emails and a 30% drop in email responses. So more of the same clearly isn't the right answer in this case. And this bombardment really won't help build stronger relationships and win more deals. And the cold outreach response rate decline isn't the only hurdle that sellers are facing today. As I mentioned before, these sellers are using tools with stale data and wasting time with inaccurate outreach. This causes sellers to waste time at the top of the funnel where they don't want to be, trying to guess emails or the right contact, when they would really rather be at the bottom of the funnel closing deals. And all of this wasted effort leads to longer deal cycles and frustrated reps during prospecting, cross-selling, and upselling. The second hurdle is it's really tough to find the right individual at a target account, and it can be daunting, especially as the buyer circle continues to expand. Today, sellers can struggle to build out their relationship network in an account, which leaves them to rely on point searches and guesses based on title as to who might be the right person, and really grasping at straws for a reason to reach out to them other than you want them to buy your product. Once they find a potential contact, cold outreach often follows. Even once the seller has identified a prospect, it's not always obvious as to who will be in that buyer circle and who else you need to actually get involved to get sign off on this deal. That third hurdle is the data reps have access to today isn't actionable and it doesn't provide next clear steps. Reps and their go-to-market leaders lack actionable information to build relationships and win deals. And if they do have access to lead level data, it's often stale and doesn't make it obvious as to what you should do with that data. It's lacking that so what, or a way to drive that deal forward, or a great reason to reach out. Now, all these hurdles might sound next to impossible, but we know that top performers have found a better way. They've embraced what we call deep sales. For years, these sellers have taken an insights driven approach to selling, spending more time researching buyers and doing deeper context setting with their outreach to ensure that they can break through all of the noise. But how do they actually do that? Enter relationship intelligence. Typically, relationship intelligence was limited to what was captured in a company's CRM, such as previous email interactions with customers, or it was limited and maybe stale data that you could find through point searches. With LinkedIn Sales Navigator, relationship intelligence extends far beyond what's in your CRM. It's built directly on LinkedIn's relationship graph that's comprised of over 900 million professionals across 61 million companies and empowers every seller to really build those trusted relationships with buyers. By delivering personalized and actionable insights at scale, Sales Navigator enables sellers to pinpoint the right buyers and understand how to best engage them with the data that is all people-powered, it's updated in real time, and it's global. I'll explain a little bit more what I mean by that. LinkedIn is a people-powered data source. Our members maintain their own profiles and keep them up to date with accurate information. Members know it's important for their career growth to update their profiles as it's their public digital resume. Additionally, company information isn't just being scraped from random sources. Millions of these companies have a presence on LinkedIn through company pages and are keeping their information updated on LinkedIn in order to recruit talent and reach buyers. This is what people-powered means. It's accurate, rich, and dynamic data. Second, it provides global coverage. With over 220 countries and territories represented, you can tap into the most comprehensive set of data in the world on demand. Compare this to providers who struggle with GDPR or are naturally just more focused in one particular region. It really enables our data to be comprehensive in nature. And lastly is the real-time updates. You see these real-time changes on LinkedIn as soon as members update their profiles. Think about how important this is within the context of the Great Reshuffle, with so many professionals changing their jobs over the past years. Traditional contact databases can be out of date anywhere between months and years. Relationship intelligence really starts with the insights focused on a buyer's relevant professional activity, such as when they've changed jobs or posted on LinkedIn. It uncovers commonalities between a buyer and seller, such as shared experiences and mutual connections. And it harnesses the seller's entire company network by identifying areas of overlap with the buyer's network through the insights such as past customer, past alumni, and executive team link connections. These relationship intelligence insights are delivered today through Sales Navigator via alerts and advanced search, and with our newest release, now Relationship Explorer. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Guillaume to walk us through Relationship Explorer.
Thank you, Erin. Hey everyone, my name is Guillaume, and I'm a product manager at LinkedIn, leading our work on relationship intelligence for Sales Navigator. We've heard from Erin on how the sales landscape is changing. And for me, as a product builder, the key takeaway is that our industry, our sales technology product, so far have really helped our customers, salespeople, become way more efficient, but not necessarily more effective. You may ask what the difference is. I think the short answer is efficiency is about doing things right, meaning without any waste in terms of time, money, or effort. Email cadencing being a prime example of sales technology that help reps be most efficient, saving them a ton of time, reaching buyers at an unprecedented scale. But if you think about the prospect and buyers on the receiving end of that, it's probably not the best customer experience. On the other hand, effectiveness is about doing the right thing, making sure you're working on the right accounts that are in market and making sure you're working with the right people at those accounts. But being effective, doing the right thing today as a sales rep requires a lot of time researching people and companies, and B, also frankly requires salespeople to know what are the key signals to look for and use to understand who they should reach out to, when is a good time to engage, and with what content they should engage their buyer with. And doing that at scale so far has been kind of impractical. Until now, since that is what we are solving for with our new Sales Navigator feature called Relationship Explorer. No more struggling to review dozens or hundreds of LinkedIn profiles to find the perfect target buyers in your key account. Relationship Explorers makes that process effortless, and even better, it automates the discovery of your best buyer team for every sellers by uncovering the best leads to engage at an account right now. In short, we surface the people that you need to know, but you probably don't. Now, how do we do this? We've measured and paid close attention to what top performers and our best customers were already doing on Sales Navigator to be most effective. And we found that those top performers were targeting buyers and influencers that already know or love either their product, their company, or colleagues already connected with those buyers. At LinkedIn, we call those buyers that are in your network, or maybe even more importantly, in your company's network, hidden allies. Those hidden allies are the people that probably have a seat at the table and can help you win a deal by advocating on your behalf within their company. As an example, those hidden allies could be a former customer, someone that had bought from your company in the past, maybe was even a champion of your product at his past company and just now moves to one of your target accounts. Or there could be a former colleague of yours who has moved to their next play and joined one of your key accounts and can help you navigate your way inside that company. We all know the power of a strong alumni network. Or hidden ally could simply be a possible fan of your organization that's following your company page on LinkedIn. These are the buyers that are sitting right there in a seller's network and their company's network of customers, employees, and alumni that were overlooked for far too long and that we are now surfacing right at the top with Relationship Explorer. And not just that, but we're also suggesting the best immediate action to take on those buyers. As they say, the proof is in the pudding. So let me share my screen and jump into a demo to show you how it works and what's already available to all of you using Sales Navigator today. For the purpose of this demo, let me pretend to be an account executive at Flexis. I'm focused on chasing new logos and I'm selling a SaaS product to B2B salespeople. My goal is to find my way to top accounts in my book of business. One account that I've been betting big on this quarter is CrowdStrike. It's an account that's a priority for me because it fits my ideal customer profile directly. It's in the tech industry, HQ'd in North America, and the largest employee function of this company is sales. In fact, as you can see in the header here, they have around 2,000 sales employees on LinkedIn, which represent around 30% of their overall workforce. So this could be a really big opportunity for me since I'm selling a SaaS product to B2B salespeople that's priced on a per-user basis. So now, scrolling down, this is kind of where the magic starts happening with Relationship Explorer. Navigator has already looked at all 6,500 CrowdStrike employees in the background, and now it automatically surfaces for me the top 8 hidden allies at that account that also fit my ideal buyer persona. And the best part, I didn't have to run any kind of search. If you want to try this for yourself, and if you learn on this experience for the first time, the first thing you want to do is really adjust your Sales Navigator persona. Click Edit here and indicate the type of profile you're usually selling to. So, for example, this is my persona, people that are sales leader, essentially, director or above. But if I wanted to expand my buyer pool to include the marketing team, I could do that. And I could also include like business development if I needed to. Not that the personas that you can see here are all my custom persona, but Sales Navigator come pre-populated with 2 personas that are Director Plus and CXO, so you won't start from a blank state. So now you've set up your ideal buyer persona. You see the top 8 recommended hidden allies within that persona. Let me look at the first result here that Relationship Explorer is surfacing. They look like an incredible hidden ally because they are a past customer of ours. So let me open his profile. I can see what past customer means. He was associated with previously closed won opportunity in my CRM, meaning we're using LinkedIn data, the most up-to-date and accurate data there is on professionals in the world, and we are intersecting it with the most valuable data of a sales organization, what's in their CRM. Looking at CRM contact and CRM opportunities to actually find those past customers. Of course, you will need the CRM sync functionality activated on your contract to see this particular insight. And if I were to click on the CRM badge right there, I would be able to see that this is not only a past customer, he was the decision maker on those past closed won opportunities in my CRM. And not only that, they've been renewing and expanding their contract with us multiple times over the past year. So they are not just a former customer. They most likely are a very happy customer. Also, I can see right here that they've recently joined this company in a leadership position. This is also a great signal because oftentimes new leaders are way more likely to be change agents and introduce new solutions in their first few months. Fun fact, we know that they are also 65% more likely to respond to a sales email on LinkedIn in their first 90 days. Also, the cherry on top is that this individual is very active on LinkedIn. In fact, they posted 24 times in the last 30 days, meaning almost every day. So I can learn more about what's top of mind for them and craft a personalized outreach. And also ask them about their prior experience with us as a past customer, as per the recommended action over here. Because I'm always multi-threading, meaning building relationship with influencer and decision makers at my account to either reduce risk or expand my footprint with other departments or regions. Let me look at the other results. They all look promising. Most of them being other sales leaders that recently got hired or promoted at that company and that are active and posting on LinkedIn. One thing that has particularly worked for me is to engage prospects that are already following my company on LinkedIn. Because I have found that they are also very familiar already with our company, our product, and our content. So Relationship Explorer tells me that I have 17 of those people. Let me look at them. So here we go. I have another list of sales leaders in my ideal buyer persona that are already following my company on LinkedIn. This person is not just following my company, they are a past customer and also an executive team link connection, which means they are connected with one of the executives at my company. This could be a great warm introduction for me to leverage now, since buyers are 5 times more likely to engage with a sales rep through a mutual connection on LinkedIn. Alternatively, I could also just keep this in my back pocket and leverage that connection a bit later to make sure I have executive sponsorship on both sides as the deal progresses. One thing I also want to make sure to do here is to save those relevant leads in my list so that I can always stay informed and receive alerts about them, not if, but when they change jobs or when they post on LinkedIn, for example. Here you have it, folks. That was a quick demo where I put myself in the shoes of an account executive, so more of a hunter role. But you could imagine this tool being as powerful for relationship managers or other farmer roles to ensure they're always building and expanding their relationship with the right people. Indeed, for farmers as well, Relationship Explorer will surface the hidden outlines that, again, you don't know, but you probably should, to help you navigate the organization at your target account to best upsell, cross-sells, and renew your contract. That's it for me, folks. Back to you, Erin.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that demo, Guillaume. Super excited to see Relationship Explorer in action, and we can't wait to hear when all of you start using. We want to hear your feedback. Now I'm going to hand it over to Andrew and Ivan to have a little bit of a fireside discussion where they'll share some best practices on how to leverage relationship intelligence and Relationship Explorer.
Thank you so much, Erin. Hello, everyone. So great to be here with you all. And I'm looking forward to spending the next few minutes talking to my colleague, partner in crime, and head of our account partner team here at LinkedIn, Andrew McCarthy. We're going to be discussing the importance of relationships in today's sales landscape. Andrew, before I go ahead with my first question, I just want to start from the beginning. We all know that a cold outreach is not working anymore. Buyers' behavior has changed, and we as buyers, we do not appreciate any unsolicited outreach. Erin and Guillaume have shared some stats, some shocking stats. For example, spammy emails, they only get 1% response rate, and that percentage is decreasing. And the same thing applies to cold calling. So you have been in sales for a very long time. You've been talking to other sales leaders. I would love to understand how you have seen this change in buyer behavior manifest in your sales career.
Firstly, Ivan, it is wonderful to be here with you, partner in crime, and discuss this important topic. It's interesting. When I first joined LinkedIn 10 years ago, the number one conversation I had with our customers was the challenge of the decrease of effectiveness of cold calling. So 10 years ago, in 2012, organizations were starting to think about how they can help their sales teams address this challenge of not being able to cut through and have meaningful conversations with their buyers. And if we fast forward to today, this challenge has only accelerated. If we look at the data, the number of emails that a buyer receives is up 79% from pre-pandemic levels. We know this intuitively. We all wake up each day, open our phone, and see 100 emails and Slack messages and Teams messages. Interestingly, I was on the ferry today coming into the office and I was preparing for our conversation. And I opened my phone, and any email that I didn't recognize the name or the context, I just swiped left and moved on because it wasn't the flow of what I was looking to do today. I think that's a challenge that a lot of sellers have, which is how do you cut through and start a meaningful conversation with buyers? And it's a challenge that's going to continue and persist.
It's funny that you say that this has been a discussion that we've had for at least 10 years. I remember a few months ago talking to a head of sales for one of the leading banks in France, and he was demanding those phone numbers. When I asked him, he's like, how many calls you take from an unknown number? And then he said, none. Like, that's your response. But in the context of the enterprise business, we have seen actually an increase in the number of relationships that a sales rep will have to build before he or she is able to close the deal, right? So those numbers are actually constantly increasing. If I think about like maybe 5 years back, LinkedIn was recommending customers to be talking to at least 5 contacts within a customer or a prospect before being able to close a deal. Well, those numbers are actually increasing. And so now we actually recommend that at least 13 people, 13 contacts will have to be part of that buyer committee. So we're seeing the buying committee becoming larger and much more complex. So Andrew, do you have any recent example that illustrates that complexity?
Yeah, we do a lot. In one of our largest deals globally, we realized that there was in one of our largest deals globally, we realized that there was over 80 contacts inside our client base. And what was interesting is it sounds a crazy number to start with, 80, but if you start breaking it down and realize that we're selling large global deals to large organizations, there's representatives from Europe involved, from LATAM, from North America, from APAC, and then within that, there's sub-regions of India and Singapore and Australia. There's different business units involved. There's different user groups, be it sales or customer success or sales development or sales operations. And all of those groups together have an influence or a say in the solution. And we've seen this time and time again with our customers, where they've been sharing that there is more and more people involved in their sales cycles, and they're looking for ways to reach out and understand how likely a deal is to close according to the relationships they have. Interestingly, we did a study recently on some internal deals, and we looked at the large forecasted deals that we ended up winning and the large forecasted deals that we ended up losing. And we identified that on average, in the deals that we won, we'd created 10 new connections through the sales cycle. And the deals that we lost, we created 1.4 new connections. And so it's not just about getting in the door, it's about continuing to build and nurture relationships over the whole sales cycle. It's going to enable you to build that momentum and ultimately deliver customer value for your clients.
And I love that you're bringing this global perspective, right? I mean, you give us an example, 80 people within a deal, that is the extreme. But I think it's important for reps to understand that they may need to multi-thread, across regions and also across teams, because one thing is who owns the budget. The other thing is who can influence that buying decision. So talking about multi-threading, what is the advice that you would actually give to a sales professional willing to multi-thread?
It's a really pointed question, and the challenge is real. If we think about our last 2 points we've just discussed, the first is it is harder to cut through and build relationships with decision makers, and on the other side, we have to get to more of them. And so this challenge is accelerating on both fronts. The trick and the challenge here is to really realize that the person on the other side of the computer or the phone is a human as well. And what are the things that you respond to? And so is there someone that you know that can introduce you? Is there something happening in their world that makes this really relevant to them right now? Why are they taking this conversation and having this call? And internally, we have a word for that. We call it hidden allies. And so I think the trick here for sellers is to become really smart at understanding and identifying who are the hidden allies inside your client base who would take a call really quickly. Who are the people inside the client base who have amazing timing right now on why this call is really valuable to them. And leveraging those 2 data points to help drive conversations will ultimately help you get in the door faster and be more productive and successful with your time. That's also what I love about the new Relationship Explorer feature in Sales Navigator is it just makes that process really easy. You can see hidden allies and understand timing moments that can help you get in the door and ultimately deliver better customer value.
And I think it's all about taking advantage of the technology. And you said it, Relationship Explorer is going to make the sales reps' life much easier, right? And also their managers. So I'm going to start wrapping up this conversation. So we all understand the importance of relationships and the key role that they play in the sales reps' ability to close a deal. And actually, the top performing reps, they know how effectively building strong connections with their accounts I think actually it's the time for sales leaders to shift their focus and see relationship building as a key KPI for their teams. I think that is going to help them not only to grow their business and mitigate any risk, but also by replicating the top performer habits, they will be able to increase their team's productivity and also have some more business predictability. So I want to finish our conversation landing this, right? Making this very real for our audience. So I would love to understand from you, Andrew, how are you bringing this to life with your own teams and how you make sure that they have the right relationships?
Yeah, it's a fantastic question. And I often think that frontline sales managers are such an important pivot point for any organization wanting to drive change and effectiveness inside their client, inside their sales team. And the way I think about this as a frontline sales manager is there's two really important jobs for a frontline sales manager. One is forecasting accurately. Are you able to get a grip on what deals are likely to come in? And also, are you able to understand which deals are at risk due to things like decision maker turnover or loss of relationships in that sales cycle? And the flip side is how can you help and coach your reps to effectively find those hidden allies inside their customer base to help them book more meetings more effectively, to start conversations, to ultimately unblock deals and help them progress through to closure. And from a tactical point of view, I think both those questions can be really simply answered through Relationship Explorer inside Sales Navigator. You can bring it up in your one-on-one with the reps, and you can very easily see where there's been decision maker turnover. Is there a deal that's at risk? You can also very easily see, is there an opportunity to go further or broader or deeper inside the account by finding hidden allies and other business units or subsidiaries or divisions. And that really makes the sales manager's life a lot easier. I remember a personal story that still hurts from a couple of years ago when I was a sales rep and I'd forecast the deal all the way up. I was sure it was going to come in. And one day I got to the office and my manager said, that deal you're working on is not going to come in. And I said, what do you mean? How's that possible? And he said, well, your main decision maker has just changed companies. And he knew before I knew that there was decision maker turnover. And if we think about one of the challenges being a sales manager, it's actually access to up-to-date information on what's happening. And historically, the clients had all the information and the sales rep has done their best to unlock that information and understand it and pass it back on to their sales management. And now actually the playing field's evened where everyone can have access to the same information in terms of what's happening with movements, with growth inside the organization. And that really makes a sales manager's job just that much more effective when it comes to forecasting accurately and ultimately helping the sales team, which has flow-on benefits in terms of morale for the team, in terms of productivity for the team, in terms of business success as well. So it's a multifaceted benefit.
And that is what I love about Relationship Explorer. It opens a world of possibilities, right, for us to understand what's going on within our customers and prospects, and also to build those connections with them. So with that, this is the end of our conversation with Andrew. Thank you so much, Andrew, and thank you everyone for joining us today. And now it's time for some Q&A, so feel free to leave your questions in the chat.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew and Ivan. That was an awesome discussion. We're going to bring Guillaume back on. We've got time for a couple questions. So I'm going to pull up the list that's come in so far, and any of them that weren't answered. Let me find. Okay, so this one looks great. To your point on buyer circle and the number of decision makers in each sale are constantly increasing. A lot more functions are also now involved in a purchase. In these times, it's hard to keep track. Any top tips for simplifying this process further? That is a great question. I've got a couple thoughts around that. First one being really focused on that sales and marketing alignment. So getting those two teams aligned is really going to help with scaled outreach and will help you figure out content that's going to get that multi-threading going. It's really a fine balance with that scaled outreach, but what you want to do is align with your marketing teams on the target personas and really leverage that marketing for scale. And in this way, you can reach more people in different functions, but the right ones are really going to help customize that content and appeal to them. The second is around how LinkedIn is really going to leverage LinkedIn, I guess I should say. Leveraging LinkedIn, you're going to get access to that real-time data around org functions versus having outdated, stale data. That's really going to simplify your outreach. You're not going to have to do as much, deal with a lot of those email bounce backs, that sort of thing. Third thought here is really that you want to get the whole team or organization to see this change and believe in it. Because that buyer circle is expanding so much, you really have to you have to think about the whole org now almost, and figuring out ways to buy or get that buy-in, I should say, from those circles. It's gonna be an easier time when you have that whole group on board. And to the point we touched on earlier, especially Guillaume in his demo, keep an eye out for those hidden allies. Those folks are really they're like your golden ticket for simplifying that process. They're the cherry on top that you can't miss. So keep an eye out for those people. So thank you for that question. Now let me find a second one. So Guillaume, I think this is actually going to be a really great one for you. The question is, how should we think about when to use Relationship Explorer versus search?
Good question. I think they're actually very complementary to each other. If you already know what exactly you're looking for in terms of demographics and behavioral criteria, and you have a clear process that works for you, and B, you know exactly how to translate those requirements into a Sales Navigator search using all the filters we have, then Sales Navigator search is amazing for you. But if you don't know one of those two things, which, to be honest, is the case for most of our customers most of the time, then Relationship Explorer is probably a much better starting point. Because it's going to do the hard work at taking a great first pass, automatically uncovering those hidden allies for you, and then directing you to search to find more similar leads. So that's what I meant when I said those are very complementary to each other.
All right. That was super helpful, Guillaume. Thank you so much. That's all the time we have for in terms of live questions. We will have some folks still in the chat, though, answering those questions if your question wasn't answered. So please feel free to keep dropping those questions in there. Also want to send out a quick reminder about the resources that we have linked at the bottom of the screen. And with that, want to just give a huge thank you to all of you for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day. Also, thank you to Guillaume, Andrew, and Ivan for their time sharing their knowledge with us. And with that, I will let you all get back to your days. And thank you so much for joining us. Take care.